Good evening, and welcome to the CCM Fans Report. I'm Arthur Fishel.
And I'm Martha Fishel. It's been a weekend of double the football, double the drama, and for some of us, double the heartbreak at the stadium.
Indeed. Tonight, we dissect a final day stalemate for the Mariners women that saw their top 6 ambitions vanish into the coastal breeze. We also examine a men's performance against Perth Glory that was as aesthetically concerning as it was ultimately successful in salvaging a point.
And later, we dive into the boardroom. Rumours of a QPR takeover are swirling, and Arthur has been doing some very specific research into exactly what West London's finest are bringing to the table.
Standards must be maintained, Martha, even if the defensive line is not. We begin with the conclusion of the Ninja A-League Women's regular season, an afternoon defined by mathematical cruelty and a scoreless stalemate against Sydney FC. It is a result that leaves the Mariners in 7th position, precisely one place outside the sun-drenched uplands of the final series.
It was heartbreaking, Arthur. We went in thinking a draw might be enough if results went our way, but by the time the whistle blew, the dream was dead. The atmosphere was strange, too. The seagulls were circling the empty seats like they were waiting for someone to drop a stray hot chip.
Given the current economic climate and the general cost of living, I doubt anyone is willing to part with a single potato wedge for an expectant seagull. The cost of convenience at the kiosk has reached such heights that dropping a chip is now considered a significant financial oversight.
It was just frustrating, Arthur. The girls were absolutely busting a gut out there, but nothing was clicking. Eliza Familton was huge, shielding the ball and trying to make things happen, but it felt like she was on an island. There was just nobody making those runs to help her out.
Indeed, the Mariners recorded 16 shots but failed to register a single one on target, a statistic that is as baffling as it is depressing. And while the players struggled for rhythm, I found my own concentration wavering due to the visiting support.
Those Sydney drums, honestly, they were hypnotizing. I nearly drifted off into a trance in the second half. It was like being at a very loud, very stressful yoga retreat. I also couldn't help but notice the big screen during the breaks.
Ah, yes. The rank hypocrisy of the modern sporting landscape, Martha. We are lectured by a somber, government-mandated graphic about the tragedy of wagering $50 on a football result, only for the very next slide to enthusiastically encourage us to invest that same $50 in a volatile cryptocurrency with the structural stability of a jelly mold.
It is a bit of a mixed message, isn't it? Don't bet on a striker, but definitely bet your house on a digital coin with a picture of a dog on it.
Precisely. One is a social ill requiring a helpline number in size 72 font. The other is apparently the future of finance.
Well, speaking of questionable investments, the forum is mostly fuming about the parking at the Leagues Club, $15 for members and $30 for everyone else. They're happy to price gouge us for a spot, but won't even provide decent service inside. It's no wonder people are heading to other venues instead.
The commercial priorities of the CCLC are indeed questionable. On the pitch, the desperation reached its zenith in stoppage time. Annalie Grove ventured so far out of her area she was practically in the car park, launching a clearance into the teeth of the southerly that defied the laws of physics.
The ball just hung there, Arthur. It looked like it was stuck to the clouds.
It reminded me of a poorly struck tee shot on the 6th at Shelley Beach. You hit it out over the Pacific, it sits there in the breeze for an eternity, and then simply boomerangs back toward you.
What on earth are you talking about, Arthur? Golf? We're talking about a goalkeeper clearance in a gale, not your Sunday round at the club.
The physics are identical, Martha. It was a clearance of significant ambition and zero utility. Ultimately, the 0-0 draw ensured Sydney avoided the wooden spoon, leaving that particular kitchen utensil in the hands of the Western Sydney Wanderers.
Small mercies, I suppose. It's gutting to miss out by a whisker after such a big season, especially with 4 regulars out, 3 of our young Matildas being overseas, and a suspension to boot. But as the fans are saying, with the ownership mess and the challenges we've had, the girls can still hold their heads high.
It is a season that ends not with a bang, but with a goalless whimper and a very expensive parking ticket. We turn to the men's side, whose encounter with Perth Glory on Easter Saturday was a study in defensive fragility and eventual, if somewhat chaotic, redemption. The 2-2 draw was a difficult watch, particularly in an opening half hour that suggested the team had perhaps spent too long sampling their Easter eggs.
It was a shambles, Arthur. Trailing by 2 goals within 17 minutes was just embarrassing. Despotovsky and Taggart had all the space in the world to pick us apart while we were still trying to figure out where our markers had gone. The forum was in full meltdown mode.
The defensive structural integrity was non-existent. We were fortunate that Perth struck the woodwork 3 times. Otherwise, we would have been facing a deficit that even the most optimistic mathematician couldn't reconcile.
If it wasn't for Redders, we'd have been buried. Andrew Redmayne made a couple of saves in that first half that were just world-class. He's the only reason people didn't pack up and go home before the rain really set in.
Indeed. However, I found my attention repeatedly drawn to the Perth technical area. Their manager, Adam Griffiths, was sporting a ponytail and a tailored ensemble that seemed remarkably high maintenance for a wet Saturday in Gosford.
He looked very sharp, Arthur. Very stylish.
A ponytail in a southerly is a bold architectural choice, but while I pondered the hairspray requirements, the match finally flickered into life. Ali Ogla's free kick in the 37th minute was a thing of beauty.
It gave us a lifeline just when the crowd was starting to look for the exits. The second half was much better. The youth really stepped up. Sabit Noor and Nathaniel Blair finally started unsettling them, and Hayne Eames was everywhere.
Eames continues to show composure beyond his years. However, the definitive moment arrived in the 66th minute via the head of Bailey Brantman.
Chris Donnell put it on a silver platter for him, a proper header to level it up, although I think half the members' stand was more interested in the bloke a few rows away.
Ah yes, the individual who decided to consume an entire tub of ice cream in the middle of a gale.
Someone on the forum asked if it was albatross flavoured. The response was, "Of course you don't get wafers. It's a bleeding seabird."
A remarkably specific cultural reference for a football match. While the members focused on dairy, the team finally addressed the scoreline. We salvaged a point, though we remain a side currently surviving on the edge of a precipice.
I'll take the point, Arthur. My heart can't take much more, but a draw is better than a loss.
We shift our focus to the boardroom. Speculation is mounting regarding a potential takeover of the Mariners by the English Championship side, Queen's Park Rangers.
It's big news, and I've been reading the fan reactions on their forum. It's called Loft for Words. I told you that was a funny joke last week, Arthur. Loft instead of lost, because they play at Loftus Road.
Yes, Martha, you have explained the logic at length. It is a masterpiece of West London wit. I'm sure it's a riot in the stands.
Well, you might not find it funny, but the QPR fans are certainly finding us interesting. They seem a bit perplexed by the idea of buying a feeder club 12,000 miles away. One commenter even joked that instead of having one poorly run club, the owners are now looking to have 2.
It is a humbling prospect, Martha, to be considered a mere feeder for such a storied and successful London institution.
Exactly. I mean, we shouldn't even try to compare our little club from the coast against the historical might and international stature of West London's finest. But just as a point of reference, here is our modest record of achievement.
2008 Premiership, 2012 Premiership, 2013 Championship, 2023 Championship,
2024 the treble, Premiership, Championship and the AFC Cup, and 2025 A-League Women's Championship.
A respectable enough list for a local outfit, I suppose, but clearly we are in the presence of greatness with QPR. They are scratching their heads for a reason.
Let's see what a real 140-year-old powerhouse looks like. I'm sure their list of major honours is absolutely massive.
1967 League Cup winners.
Wait, is that it?
That is the sum total of their major silverware in 142 years. Their last trophy was won when the Beatles were still together and Harold Holt was our Prime Minister.
So, the club that hasn't won a major trophy since before the moon landing thinks we are the ones who should be grateful for the association.
It is the beauty of the English game, Martha. They've spent 60 years as a feeder club for the Premier League's relegation zone, yet they view a continental treble-winning side as a bizarre investment. One can only admire the confidence required to look down on the champions of Asia from the dizzying heights of mid-table in the Championship. It is time now for the Mooned Report. The men's recovery against Perth ensures that our lunar trajectory remains for the moment stable. To date, we have mooned 7 teams.
7 full moons is a decent tally, but we'll need to moon a few more teams if we're going to crack that top 6 and make it into the finals series.
The current standing is bolstered by 7 half-moons and 8 lunar eclipses. It is a celestial balance that keeps us in the conversation, if not quite in the clear.
We're still in the mix, but the sky is looking a bit cloudy.
The Ninja A-League Women's ladder is finalised, with the Mariners finishing 7th. On the men's side, the point against Perth leaves us in 9th place on 28 points, 3 points behind MacArthur in the top 6.
And crucially, we still have a game in hand over the Bulls, which makes the ladder look a lot more promising than it did on Saturday night.
That game in hand takes place tonight as we travel to the Bubble Dome to face Melbourne City.
It's a massive few days, and then we're back home on Friday to host Brisbane Roar.
I'm looking forward to the Brisbane visit, though I do hope their technical area is less vocal than the last time.
Stop, sit back, stop, not talking.
Good heavens, Michael. Have you been loitering in that press room for 2 months just to tell me to sit back?
No, stop, sit back, don't talk, sit down. No, stop.
A remarkably effective defensive strategy, if only our back four had shown half that commitment to stopping the opposition in the first 20 minutes against Perth.
Honestly, Arthur, have you been sitting on that joke for 2 months?
Consistency is key, Martha. One must remain vigilant against the decline of decorum.
How do you feel? How do you feel about that now?
I feel like I've been trapped in a digital loop with a man who has lost his lanyard. Regardless, the Brisbane clash on Friday is a must-win to capitalise on the midweek result.
That's assuming we actually win in Melbourne, Arthur.
Naturally, just don't go wagering any digital currency on the result. That concludes our report for this evening, a weekend of missed opportunities and resilient recoveries that perfectly encapsulates the experience of the Central Coast supporter.
Frustrating, heart-stopping, and expensive, but we wouldn't have it any other way. See you at the next one.
Until next time, this has been the CCM Fans Report.